Gonna do some more work on the 75 now tonight. I gotta start cleaning up the inner fenders, get them wire wheels, get them painted. Then I can get those mounted up, start finishing away some stuff in the engine bay. This truck, like I said, it's this 1975 F250 Super Cab. Had an 8-foot pan, but it was completely rotted out, so it's gone to the scrapyard now. It'll be getting a flat deck. This truck originally had a 390 V8, the Ford FE big blocks, I guess you call them, and it was 2-wheel drive, automatic. It had a C6 automatic in it, and the Dana 60 rear end, the twin I-beam front suspension. I stripped it down in the spring of 2015, I think is when I started this truck, somewhere around there. I completely gutted it down to just a bare chassis. I did the 4-wheel drive conversion on it. Well, first of all, originally I was going to build a square body Chev. I had a 74 half ton. It was 4-wheel drive. About a 1980 3/4 ton that was 2-wheel drive. The truck itself was, but it came with a 4-wheel drive 3/4 ton frame, axles. It was already stripped down. It was, I'm not sure if he sandblasted it or if he wire wheeled it, but either way it was cleaned up and painted just as nice as what my frame here is. But both of those trucks were single cab. I always wanted at least an extended cab or a 4-door, but there was no extended cab square body, but the 4-doors were made, but they're very scarce around here. I'm not even aware of any that are around. So actually no, there is one I know of, but it's in rough shape. So I got this truck. My uncle gave it to me, so the price was right. So yeah, and because I was doing up Chevs, I had a collection of Chev parts. I still have a collection of Chev parts. I still love those square bodies. I own 2 of them still. So I had this Dana 60 Kingpin kicking around, so I said I gotta build the front suspension, I gotta build everything anyway. It's just as easy to put a Chev axle in here as it is to put a Ford axle, because the Ford Kingpin Dana 60s aren't as common as what these ones are, especially in this town. There's like none kicking around. A buddy of mine had a 79 F250 with a Perkins diesel in it with the Dana 44, and he looked forever to try to find a 60 front and he couldn't find one. So I had this axle, so I decided that's what I was going to use. The front springs are for a square body Chev, just for the simple fact of cost. I can't remember the exact price difference, but the price difference between square body springs and springs for this era Ford is quite a difference, because well, these trucks weren't in production as long. These are 74 to 79, and the Chevs were 74 to 87 for the pickups, and the Suburbans and 1-tons went to like 91 to 93, somewhere around there. So they did make more square body Chevs, and there's more of them kicking around, so the parts are cheaper. So that square body Chev, or square body GM, front springs, the shocks are for a square body GM. The brake lines are square body GM. This tie rod or the drag link is for same thing, square body GM. The steering box is off it, so the whole front end, if I need any parts, go over to Napa or wherever, get parts for a 1980 GMC K30, and you're good to go. The engine is a Cummins 5.9. It's the industrial engine. It came out of a 1998 Ford F800. It's a 5-ton truck. I bought the whole truck and scrapped it. The air compressor didn't actually come on that engine. The truck that I scrapped had hydraulic brakes. A buddy of mine scrapped a year newer, and his was ordered with the air brakes, but his also has the 24 valve. This is the last year for the 12 valve. It's actually a 24 valve block with a 12 valve head on it, basically. So it has the 2 oil returns for the turbo. It has the screw-in threaded block heater on right next to the oil cooler and all that good stuff. So I Got this air compressor. My friend Sandy gave it to me. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's also Alpha Ford. So that's stamped Ford. That engine mount somewhere on it is stamped Ford because this is a Ford as well. And where else? Yeah, there's a Ford oval right there on the shutdown bracket. So it is a Ford engine. Yeah, there you go right there. Look. Ford, 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 Ford. So when people tell me, oh, you put a Dodge engine in your truck, no, I fucking didn't. It's not a Dodge engine. It's a Cummins instead of a Ford. It always was a Ford. So yeah, I use the same transmission as a truck. It's an Eaton Fuller FS5306. It's a 6-speed manual. It used to be direct. I converted it to overdrive. I used all the parts from the FSO 6406. So I had to change the main shaft in the transmission, I think. Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to think here because yeah, I also converted a Chev SM640. Fuck's the name of them or transmissions? 465, yeah. SM465. I converted one of those over to 4-wheel drive to take a Jeep transfer case, so I'm getting parts mixed up in my head of which ones I did. But I'm pretty sure I changed the main shaft. If I didn't, it was the counter shaft. And the gear cluster that goes from the main shaft to the counter shaft, that got changed. And what used to be 5th gear gets converted to the 6th gear overdrive, and your old 5th gear or your old 6th gear direct becomes your new 5th gear. So the shift pattern's kind of fucked up, but it works. So yeah, that's converted to overdrive. I did all the bearings in it, did all the seals, went through everything. There was only 157,000 kilometers on this engine and transmission, so very low kilometers. The transfer case, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, that's a new process 205. That's out of a Dodge. It's the only real Dodge part on this truck. Same thing, I went through it, did all new bearings, all new seals. There's 3 new yokes on it. The intermediate drive shaft is a 1480 series U-joints. That's the smallest yoke you can get for that Eaton transmission, and it's the biggest yoke you can get for a 205. It's not even a production yoke for a 205. Northern Drivetrain, they do a lot of off-road stuff, and they made a run of 1480 yokes for the 205, so that's where I got that. Rear drive shaft is a 1410, and front drive shaft is a 1350. Same thing, front axle has a new ring and pinion. That's got 373 gears. The yoke is used, actually it's the only used yoke on the whole truck. It's the original yoke from the rear end, because the original yoke was, or original rear end was a Dana 60, and it was a 1350, so I robbed that yoke to save a little bit of money. But it's got all new bearings, all new seals, new side axle U-joints, new rotors, new brake pads, new calipers, new locking hubs, new wheel bearings, all new steering components. Kingpins are done top and bottom. So basically anything that can wear on that axle is done. Same thing, transmission's gone through, transfer case has gone through. The rear axle is a Chev 14 bolt. It came out of a ambulance. It was a van axle, which is good because the van single wheel axle is the widest 14 bolt wheel mount flange to wheel mount flange that GM made. I don't remember the measurement offhand. I think it's something like 70 inches. I could be completely wrong. But that van only had like 27,000 or 24,000 miles. So it's basically brand new. I did the ring and pinion in it. It originally had a 342 or some in the low threes. It's 373 now, same as the front. Front was originally 410 or 411. So I did the ring and pinion, did the pinion bearings and carrier bearings just because I had to take it out anyway. I didn't bother with the wheel bearings, like I said, they're brand new. One of the wheel seals on this side here did leak, so I bought new shoes for both sides because they come in a pack, and I put new wheel seals on both sides. And rather than screwing around trying to get brake lines out, I just goes and buys new wheel cylinders for the brakes. It's not worth the aggravation trying to get lines out. Just chop it off, go spend 20 bucks, buy new wheel cylinders and put new brake lines on. Same thing, rear brake line is for a GM pickup, I believe. I don't think I bought the van one. No, I didn't buy the van one. I bought the pickup one. The suspension is air ride. Disc bracket, these arms, disc bracket here, even though I modified it, used to be straight up and down. It used to be, I got it upside down basically right now. That's from airbagit.com. I actually removed this kit from a truck. It was given to me. That was the payment. I took the air ride off, and I got to keep it as payment for taking the air ride off. The Airbagit controller and valve assembly is just way overly complicated. The owner had nothing but issues with it. It was kind of stupid how it was designed, to be honest with you. I didn't like it, but the hardware was good, so I used that. I made my own brackets for the axle, and yeah, I used this, but I made my own brackets for everything. I plumbed it with ride height valves that would be on, say, a dump truck or a tractor trailer, and these are the dump style, so if I flick a switch in the cab, she drops the airbags and sits lower, so when I do get flat deck on, it'll be a little more convenient putting stuff on the back. Frame is completely wire wheeled, primed, painted, new fuel tank, new sending unit. The cab, that took a ridiculous amount of body work. All the inner fender structure here, that's all new. From here down is new, that's all new. The outer rockers were actually good. I didn't replace any of this. I did a little bit on the bottom of the doors, and I know the bodywork's not perfect. This is not a show truck. It never will be a show truck. This is a working truck. It's going to get dirty, it's going to get scratched up, it's going to get muddy. So I'm not worried about everything being perfect. The mirrors, this truck did have West Coast mirrors, but I was missing one when I got it, so I looked on eBay. All the ones I could find that were chrome and in good shape were ridiculously priced. So these are actually the brackets off the F800 that I took the engine out of, and these are just new grody mirrors. Same with the little convex mirrors. New door panels, new rubber floor from LMC. The seats out of a early 2000s, I think, E350 van. They're all power. Steering column, I scrounged that up out of an old truck because this one here was automatic, and I didn't want the shifter on there. Same thing, I robbed the pedals out of the same one. I still got to paint these up and clean them up. Brake controller for the electric brakes on the trailer. I still got to put something in this hole to fill that gap. All out of meter gauges except for the tach. The tach I had to go Stewart Warner because they're the only one that really makes a diesel tachometer that runs off the fly or the ring gear on the flywheel. There's a sensor that picks up the teeth. I don't know, might be able to see it. Yeah, it's that guy in right there. Yeah, I did all new interior, made up shifter, just 1-inch aluminum transfer case shifter. It's the original brown dash pad, the brown on the glove box door. That was the original color of the truck. I got the sun visor, rack, shelf thing, whatever you want to call that. CB, the ceiling's not in yet, or headliner. The back seat, I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, that's out of a 1992 F250, and it bolted in almost exactly the same. The back seat, the back cushion bolted in perfect, latch work lined up, everything was exactly the same as this truck. The bottom brackets require a little bit of modification, and I still got left a little bit hard on what it was factory, just make it a little bit more comfortable for any poor bastard got to sit in the back. The center consoles that are the same 1990s truck. That's boosting pyro, temperature gauges. That's the fan override, mirror heat, rear accessory lights, front accessory lights. Whenever I get them put up, that's the grid heater and suspension drop. That's the air suspension gauge. High idle. That's about it in here, I think. Yeah. So yeah, that's the truck as of now. I don't think I left out anything. Oh, the brakes. Has some master cylinder and hydraulic brake booster off of a GM Cube van. They're V30 or G30s they're referred to. I can't remember what one it is. I think it's V. I think G is the 1 tons. But anyways, if you got one of these old Fords and you want to put a hydraulic brake booster on there, the vertical spacing on the bolts for the GM fits the Ford pattern perfectly. The only thing is you got to narrow it a little bit. So I cut it here and here, and then I just moved it in, narrowed it in, make the rod the correct length. The rod lines up with the brake pedal rod just fine. The bolt fits in it just fine. It's all the same size. Like I said, the only thing you gotta do is narrow that bracket up just a tiny bit and it fits in there. And I went with the Willwood adjustable proportioning valve just because I'm running a mismatch of front and rear axles. If I use the Ford one, guaranteed it wouldn't be right. So at least this, I can get it dialed in the way I want it, and it'll be a lot better. Rad is a, I can't remember if that's a Summit brand rad or if it's an actual Griffin rad. I don't remember. Anyways, I bought it from Summit Racing. Hope it should be big enough. These 5.9s don't make any heat. They're cold-blooded engines, especially in the winter time. You can take that rad out and just join the hose together, and I could probably use it the whole winter and not have an issue. So I'm not too worried with rad size. If you're down in Arizona or Florida or somewhere hot, yeah, it might be an issue, but up here, it's not going to be an issue. A hot day up here is 20 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. It's probably like 70. The intercooler or air-to-air, that's out of a International. Normally the International, it was mounted vertical next to the radiator, and actually the rad wasn't much bigger than what the air-to-air was on the International. So I mean, if a rad roughly same size as that rad there, a little bit bigger, I will say it is bigger than that one, but that kept a DT466 cold. So that nice aluminum one should keep a 5.9 cold. So yeah, mounted that one. That one did require a little modification. I got the truck rolled ahead now just so I can get at this crap here. Yeah, this elbow here, it did come out straight. I had to cut it and re-weld it back in on an angle. And this is all the intercooler piping off the F800. As you can see, I had to cut and weld it to get it to line up where I want it to go. That's the down pipe off the F800. I managed to get it to loop around there. It's a bit tight in there, but it should be alright. It's a HX35 turbo, just the factory one that came on this engine. There you go, look. Another Ford emblem. And that rat hose there, he was a bit of a pain in the ass. There was no way to get a rubber one, so I had to go steel and then down straight into that one, but it worked out. What else am I missing? I don't think that's pretty much everything. Like I said, I started this truck in spring of 2015. I haven't been constantly working on it. It's been in and out of the garage. Like anything, you work at it and then you lose interest or something else comes along your way. So this got shoved out by the door many a times, and other things got some attention, but I'm trying to get back at it now. The truck, you can start it and drive it outdoor and back it in now. It's mobile. It doesn't have power steering because the reservoir is not hooked up, but I mean, it got brakes, it moves, stops, turns. Pretty well everything works. Well, everything electrical works as is hooked up. There's no lights on it yet besides the cab lights, but there's honestly not a lot of work left to do with this. So I'm gonna wire wheel that down, get that painted, same with the other one. I don't want to be at it. I hate wire wheeling, especially with rusty crap like this. It's dirty, it makes the shop messy, and a lot of people tell you with a big project, they'll say if you don't feel like working on it, don't work on it. Which is true for most things. If you don't feel like working on the truck and you're going to put the engine together, don't work on it, because you're going to screw something up probably and you're not going to be paying attention. But something like this, I don't know who the hell would want to go wire wheeling. It's miserable. You're getting pieces of wire stuck in you and it's dusty as hell. Your garage gets dirty. It fucking tastes bad. Even with a mask on, you're taking your mask off every now and then to talk or whatever, and it's just not fun. But shit like this, you just gotta suck it up and do it. If you're not in the mood to work at it, go at it anyway, because it's gotta get done. So yeah, I'm gonna go wire wheeling, and I don't know, I might take a bit of video of that, I might not, see what happens.